Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Frank, and I'm optimistic for you. And I want to thank you so much for joining me today on another in our series of studies of numerology. I've already done 3 or 4 videos, and I hope if you haven't seen them yet that you'll go check them out. And while you're thinking about it, hopefully, if you like the video, you will subscribe. Hit the like icon, it's that thumbs up thing. That really helps a lot. Share the video with your friends. And also, please feel free to leave me a comment. I'll be more than happy to respond. And I look forward to answering any questions you might have about anything. Anyway, for those of you who are new, welcome to the channel. Again, I'm talking about the metaphysical discipline of numerology, which basically is the language of numbers as it appears not only in our names at birth and other names that we use through the course of a lifetime, but also in the numbers of our birthday. And I've had other videos that you can refer to where I discuss at length the meanings of each of the individual numbers, first of all, just generically, and then also as they affect you in terms of how they appear in your name and how they appear on your birth path. So be sure to look at those other videos to get all the info you need to complete what we're going to be sharing tonight, which is basically, I'm going to show you how to make your own numerological chart, where you can put all the information about yourself, give the numerical values to the letters of your name, see how the numerical values of the letters in your birth path line up, and then kind of get an overview of your personality, your nature, your destiny number, the way you're expressing and manifesting yourself to the world around you. And not only does this apply to yourself, but you can create numerology charts for your family members, friends, for people you are curious about, wanting to know maybe what their energies may be about. It's a very simple process, and I want to share that with you tonight. I'm not going to go through all the values of the numbers because, again, I've explained it a number of times on other videos, and feel free to check those out here on YouTube under the heading of I'm Optimistic. But we are going to go into how to make your own basic chart. So what I'd like you to do, you can stop the video anytime. I'm going to put up here on the screen in just a second a sample numerology chart. Okay, and you can stop the video, copy some of the elements that are on there, or take a screenshot with your phone, or whatever works easiest for you in order to retain the information. But I'm going to go over each of the different sections of the chart, what they mean, and how you can calculate them yourself, and then kind of refer to the other videos to see the numerological values for those different aspects of your name and your birthday. Okay, so let me go ahead and put them up here on the screen. Again, remember, I'd like to invite you to please subscribe, like, and share with your friends, because I am optimistic for you. And I hope you enjoy the video, and I hope you enjoy what I'm going to be sharing with you. Anyway, as we've discussed in my previous videos, numerology is the ancient metaphysical discipline that looks for the values of the numbers of our names at birth and of the numbers of our birthday. The whole premise here, if you haven't seen the other videos, is that we reincarnate, that our soul is immortal, and that we go through many incarnations on the soul's evolution to personal and spiritual growth and perfection, and that each lifetime is a learning period to encounter different forms of human experience and spiritual experience that goes into the reservoir of the soul that gets carried on from lifetime to lifetime. And that as we go through each lifetime, we're picking up experiences, we're mastering things, we're learning new things, we're meeting challenges or deficiencies of experiences that we've been reluctant to learn in previous incarnations and lifetimes. And so basically, the idea is that your name is the resume you bring with you from past lives, the numbers of the experiences that you have mastered or are strong in or are missing or are weak in, depending on what those are for your particular name. Now, the birthday, your birth numbers, the month, day, and year, are the code to the lessons you have to learn in this lifetime. So what I find is that many of the numbers that show up in your name maybe that are missing in your name oftentimes show up on the birth path, which means you are here to learn those energies, to learn those experiences, and to master them. Okay? Now, in order to understand your own personal resume of your life and the code that you need to decipher and unlock to understand this lifetime's identity and goals, this chart has been put in place. State of the art, of course, by hand. I've had this chart for a long time, ever since I started doing numerology readings back in the 1970s. So I've kept it with me, and I think it really condenses everything onto one page so that you can easily see what kind of things you need to do. All right? So let's start with your name, okay? What you do is you want to write down on the piece of paper your full name at birth. Now, if you don't want to use your birth name and you want to find out what you're manifesting with a different name, let's say you're a woman who's married, now you have your husband's name, you can put that name in too, but you realize that each name is going to manifest probably differently. It's going to include or exclude certain vibrations based on the letters in those names, okay? So I always tell people to start with making a chart from what they were born into this incarnation to learn and to discover, okay? So take your birth name, first name, middle name, and last, and then just write it all out. Like this one here, we have Thomas James Evans. This is just a sample name that I pulled out of my hat. So we're using Thomas James Evans as a name with a birthday of June 15, 1966. So first thing you do is you take the name, and then you look up here in the alphabet chart. Where am I? Over there. Everything's backwards on this, so it's kind of weird, It's hard to see, Anyhow, take the alphabet names and give the letter values over each of the letters of the name. So, for example, the name Thomas, the first letter T is a 2 when you look at the chart up here. So you put 2 above that. The letter H is an 8, and so on. So you can fill all that stuff in. And that'll give you all the energies that are present in your name at birth, okay? Now, the next thing you want to do, after you put all those down and see which different numbers are represented in your birth name, is do this kind of tower or tiered listing of the numbers here. It's kind of smallish, but it's easy to see. You write the numbers from 1 to 9, because in numerology, everything goes from the number 1 to the number 9 and then starts over again. There are 9 basic numbers. So you would make a chart from 1 to 9, and then next to it, just write how many times that energy, number 1 in this case, shows up in this name or in your name, okay, using your name. How many times the number 1 shows up? In the name Thomas James Evans, we have it showing up 7 times. Then we go to the number 2. How many times does the number 2 show up? In this name, Thomas, it shows up 1 as a cornerstone of his name. Number 3 doesn't show up at all because he doesn't have any of these letters, C, L, and U up here, up on the chart, and so on and so on. So I don't want to micromanage the whole process to the point. You get what I'm saying. So just tabulate and write the number of times each of those numbers shows up in your name and put them down here. You're going to see some of them appear many, many more times. Some of them appear a number of times, but fewer. Some appear like occasional, like maybe once, and then you may be missing numbers. Each of those elements tells you something about your personal soul's resume as you come into this incarnation. For the name, if you're looking up here, the name Thomas James Evans, I wrote also in the next column next to the numbers there on the right, you'll see I wrote the word strong, balanced, weak, and missing. So anything that's the highest number showing up, the highest frequency of vibration showing, I'll put that as a strong representation. So in his name, I have that the number 1 is the strong vibration emphasized in the name Thomas James Evans. So he has 7 of the vibration. So I put number 1 is strong. For balanced numbers, he has number 4 and number 5 3 times. So 3 is less than the 7, so it isn't a super strong number compared to the 1, but they're balanced because it's not too many and not too few. So it means that there's a good a good presentation, representation in the name of those vibrations. In the strong number, it means there's an extremely strong and intense presence of that number one vibration in this name. So I call that strong. So balanced, he has the numbers 4 and 5. For weak, I show the numbers 2, 6, and 8, because he only has one number 8, one number 6, and one number 2. And then for missing, he's missing the name Thomas James Evans is missing 3 vibrations, the number 3, the number 7, and the number 9. So what this tells you in a nutshell is that Thomas James Evans has a strong sense of self with the 1, is balanced in material numbers, earthly expressing numbers, physical number 4, the number of man number 5. Weak in the numbers 2, 6, and 8, which means, but he has a cornerstone 2, which can offset a weakness. When you have a letter of your name that's in a promise, beginning a prominent position in your name, like it's beginning one of the names, that means that number adds extra intensity to the representation of that vibration. So even though he's weak with only one representation of the number 2, he has it as a cornerstone letter of his entire energy, of his whole name. So we keep those things in consideration when you're interpreting. But it shows that he's weak in the feminine principle, the passive feminine. He's got a very strong sense of ego with the number 1 at the top. But it tends to have underdeveloped feminine impulses, harmonizing impulse. With the number 6, which is the number of duty, responsibility, parenthood, no experience of past, and avoidance of responsibilities and obligations in past lives. And then the number 8 is not very common, because if you look up here, the number 8 is represented by the letters H, Q, and Z, which in the English language do not show up in many names. Of those 3 letters, the ones that show up the most, the one that shows up the most is the letter H, and you can understand that's very common. Q probably almost never shows up, and you may get lucky to see a Z. So usually that means the number 8 is represented by the letter H. But so having 1 in this case isn't particularly a weakness, but again, it's not. There aren't multiple number 8s, so that's why I say it's not balanced. It's sort of weak. But there is a sense of personal power, authority, handling money, an awareness of mastering money and stuff like that. So that's what the number 8 represents. But they are weakly represented on the resume of the life path. Now, the missing numbers show that he is missing the number 3, that doesn't have the letters C, L, or U in his name. He's missing the number 7, doesn't have the letters G, P, and Y in his name. And he's missing the number 9, doesn't have the letter I or R in his name, okay? So missing those 3 numbers tells you that he has avoided these vibrations and these intensities and energies in previous incarnations, and that this lifetime is an opportunity where he may have to, if he chooses to engage and learn the lessons of these things. That's why these charts are so valuable, and why numerology is so valuable and beneficial, because you start discovering that things you've always sensed about your own nature are reflected in your birth resume. When you feel like you've always been afraid, let's say the number 3 is the number of the performer, the number of communication, the number of the speaker, the number of the star, the person who is comfortable using language or being creative and expressive. If you feel like you've been that way and you find you don't have any 3s, then knowing that missing the number 3 in your name has been a reason perhaps why you've always felt uncomfortable, let's say being in front of crowds, talking in front of crowds, or expressing yourself to the degree you'd feel more like you could share who you are. And the same thing with the number 7 and the number 9. Again, I'm not going to go too deep into the vibrations because I'd like you to go to the other videos and see it. But the number 7 is the number of introversion, of reflection, of research, of mysticism, and a lot of stuff. It shows that, and number 9 is also the number of humanity, humanitarian ideals, selflessness. So you see, he's got a lot of strong self-serving numbers of the number 1, as strong, but very little selfless numbers. So he's avoided responsibility, communication, deeper reflection in life, and also being more sacrificial and available for the well-being of other people, okay? So in the name Thomas James Evans, this is the distribution of the energy from previous lives that are incarnating in this life and that are giving him the idea, the tools that he naturally brings into this incarnation. Okay? Now, if we look at his birth numbers, you can see that he has the destiny number here. You can see it down here. Let me point, because this is so weird. This destiny here, you add up the numbers of the month, day, and year, and you come up with what's called the destiny, and that's the overarching vibration of the lesson to be learned in this life. And for the name Thomas James Evans, with a birthday 6/15/1966, his destiny adds up to a 7, and lo and behold, his birth path is throwing him right on a collision course with a number that he has avoided in his previous incarnations, with the missing number 7. So again, this is how you gauge the energy that you bring from past lives and what is your strengths and weaknesses, and seeing what life is now going to present to you in terms of your life lessons, the challenges, the pinnacles, and the opportunities to grow and to learn and to master experiences that in the past have been avoided. All right? So you take the birth number, like I said, figure out each of those different numbers, and you come up the total destiny number, and then each of the individual numbers, birthday, birth month, birth year, are considered cycles. You'll see those down at the bottom. They're considered the cycles of your life. Each one is in effect for a different period of your life. And how you figure that out for the period is that you subtract your birth month and birthday, 6 and 6 in this case, the 3, and it reduces to 3. All numbers in numerology reduce to single digits. So you have 6 and 6 is 12, 1 and 2 is 3. You subtract that number, whatever that number is for you, from the number 36. Okay, so if your birth and month birthday and birth month add up to the number 8, you would subtract 36 from 8, and that means that first cycle lasts for 28 years. So subtracting 36 from 8 is 28. That means that for 28 years, you're under the first cycle of your number of your birth month. Then for the next 18 years, you transit the second cycle of your birth path. And then the final cycle, which is your birth year number, that lasts from that period, that date, till the end of your life, okay? So those cycles are here to understand which energies are going to be in effect over the course of the transit of those cycles as little rooms that are subsets of the house of the overarching number, in this case, number 7, that you live in to live your destiny number, okay? Pinnacle numbers here. I'm gonna discuss this in greater detail in another video. But pinnacle numbers are high points that of experience and achievement that can be achieved during the transit of these cycles, and they all have different kind of sequences. Okay, but so we're not going to dwell on that too much. And then the challenges are the opposite. They are by subtracting the adjacent numbers, you find out what the challenges on the transit of those cycles are. Okay. So when you lay out your chart, you've got the name, the numbers over each of the letters. You've got your chart over here with seeing with the frequency of the vibrations. And now you've got your birth numbers all laid out as destiny, cycles, challenges, and pinnacles. Okay? And then again, I invite you to please refer to my other videos to see the interpretation in greater detail of what those energies mean. Now, the last thing I'm going to go over here also is what you see here in the middle of the page under his name, under Thomas, under his name. I gotta get all disoriented because everything's backwards. But you can see right over here, it says soul urge, quiescent self, and expression. If you take the soul urge is kind of your own personal deepest desire that you want to express in this lifetime, okay? And so how you figure that out is you add together the vowel totals from each of the 3 names of your first name, middle name, and last. And you can see that for Thomas, it's his vowel total is 7 in his first name, 6 in the second name, and 6 in the third name, which adds up to a 19, which reduces to a number 1. So Thomas's soul's urge in this case is to be independent. his deepest desire is to be his own person, to be the leader, the person in charge. He wants to be the man who's and that aligns perfectly with his name. You see all the ones in his name. He's got 7 ones. So his natural instinct is to be that leader, is to be the strong person, to be the guy you depend on, the guy in charge, the guy who controls, who directs activities. But that's also his soul urge in his name based on this name. So that is the deep desire. Now, you do the same with your name and then figure out what number that adds to, all right? And then, again, refer to the other video to see what the meaning of that soul urge number means for you. Now, the quiescent self number, which is made up of all the consonants in all 3 names. You add up just the consonants from the 3 names, and that adds up to a total number. The quiescent self is the way you envision yourself in a world of your own making, as if you were withdrawn from the world and you saw yourself without being defined by externals of reality or the world, the way you would ideally see your own sense of your own self-worth, away from your desire and away from the way you ultimately manifest yourself in reality. So it's like your best self imagined and desired within yourself, okay? So in the name Thomas James Evans, his quiescent self, made up of all the consonants in his name, adds up to a 13, which reduces to a number 4. And so in his quiescent self, Thomas sees himself as responsible, hardworking, disciplined, pragmatic. That's the way he likes to envision his own vision of himself. Other than the way that maybe the reality is manifested out there, or the way that others see him. So that's what that quiescent self number is. It is that number that tells you how you envision yourself in a world of your own making, in your own construct of your own sense of self, okay? And then the final number, which is called the expression, which is obviously the total of all the letters, vowels and consonants. And this is the number that you manifest to the world outside of you, to the people you come into contact with, to the way people respond to the energy you present, because this is the expression of the full name, okay? Thomas James Evans. Now, in your case, it'll be the expression number of all of your named, or it may be the expression of only a part of your name. If you like to go with, let's say, or your married name, which isn't your name at birth, obviously, which means that you're going to be expressing a different energy in a married relationship, in a married name life, because there are different letters in that name, and it's going to come up with different totals. So if you want to find out what that manifestation is, then you do the same chart like we've done for your birth name with your married name. Or if you have a nickname, that changes the vibration too. So if you prefer being known by a nickname, you may want to insert that in your chart and use that to replace, let's say, your first name or your middle name. Or if you have a nickname middle name, like a lot of people have Thomas James Archie Evans or something. You know, Archie's the nickname people have given him for some reason. You may want to substitute that. The point is that whatever name you select to understand the manifestation of the energy, that's the name that will show you those vibrations. Now, when you change those things, the vibrations change. So when you get married, you move out of the energies you were born with and you move into a new vibration in a cooperative married environment, which is going to change the way you express your own nature, even, and it's modifying some of the qualities that are there at birth. You may pick up some energies that were missing at birth, or you may lose some energies that were missing in your birth name. But one thing that's always a constant, your birthday. You're never going to change your birthday. That is set in stone, and that energy is always going to remain the same. And those challenges are always going to be there. The pinnacles are going to be there. The cycles will manifest, and the destiny will always be there, okay? So this is your fundamental numerology chart. It is not difficult to do. All you have to know is, the interpreting of it becomes it's kind of a pseudo art and a pseudo science. And that comes with years of practice of understanding the vibrations of the numbers, understanding positions of numbers, understanding which letters form which parts of names. So therefore, what dominance they may have as a cornerstone letter of a name. And then you make, the bouncing of the vibrations of the birth name, the energies of the birth name against the energies that are going to be encountered, the experience is going to be encountered on the birth path, create a different understanding of the way the person responds to experiences. And those all come with time as you learn more about the value of the numbers, the position of the numbers, and again, how they interrelate with the birth resume name and the new code for this incarnation. Anyway, it's a fascinating understanding of yourself. I hope you're going to enjoy making your own chart, or for the chart of your spouse, your children, friends that you care about, a loved one, a lover, a romantic partner. If you want to kind of say, gee, I wonder what kind of person they really are. And if you get all the information from them, you can kind of see where their nature is and maybe why they are who they are in a way that you've never seen it before. And then you can also compare it to your own chart to see where there's harmonies, where there's conflicts, all that kind of stuff. So it's very useful information. This is numerology, just like any metaphysical science, astrology, tarot cards, colorology, cartomancy, psychometry, all this stuff, palmistry, all those things. These are tools given to us by the divine to help us understand our journey through incarnated life on earth. The soul is eternal, but when we come into incarnation, we become restricted. The soul is expansive, timeless, boundless, and interconnected with all spirit world realities. But when we incarnate, we kind of condense, we condense that eternal spirit and confine it to material essence, okay? Because now we're here to function in a material reality. And so understanding these useful tools, these secret codes that aren't secrets. They're knowledge that's been passed on for thousands of years, millennia, through wisdom and of study of the metaphysics, the occult, religion, philosophy. These are here. They're blessings to us to help us understand ourselves better and hopefully live better, more happy, more complete lives, more genuine, loving lives, giving lives. It's a gift from God to all of us. So there's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing sinister about this knowledge. It's what we do with what we have that is good or bad. These things have no inherent moral value. We impose it through our understanding. They have pragmatic, definable qualities, but how they manifest is up to us, how we choose to live our lives and how we conduct them. So that's the thing you also got to remember. Just because you see certain numbers, certain name, oh my God, that's a warning point. Well, it may be for you. For one person, one vibration may be a strength, and for another, it might be a weakness. It doesn't mean it's good or bad. It just means that that's how things are working in terms of the energies that we're born with and that we have to encounter, and that there are part of the energies that belong to the people we love, that we're going to meet and that we're going to work with and live our lives with. So anyway, I hope this is exciting for you. I hope this is engaging for you, and that you're going to learn something wonderful about yourself and the people you love, and you're going to really elevate the way you look at your own existence and the existence of others, and enjoy the blessing of this wonderful knowledge. I'm just here to kind of help spread that love and that light to everybody, and I hope it helps in some way that relieves a struggle for you, elevates an understanding, diminishes a pain, diminishes a misunderstanding. I just want it to be a tool for you to be a happier, better person, and I hope to God that's what's happening as you go on this journey with me, understanding the world of numerology and all its wonder and its amazing aspects. And anyway, again, if you like what you're hearing and you feel moved and you'd like to be a part of my journey as I'm trying to bring this to the world a little bit more, be sure to please subscribe, like, share it with your friends, leave me a comment. Believe me, I answer every comment. And all I want to say is I want to thank you for being a part of this today. I hope it was rewarding and exciting. And remember, I'm optimistic for you, and it's all in the numbers, baby. Thank you for being a part of the day and a part of this video. And I look forward to hearing from you and to have you join my journey with me. Until next time, Love and light to all. God bless you and have a great one. Thank you again for being a part of the journey. Bye-bye.